Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip Board meeting. Today is June 24th, 2024. Time now is 7:30 p.m. Before we get started, the village clerk was not available this evening, nor was the office supervisor, so the clerk had asked my assistant, administrative assistant Becky Smith, if she would sit in as clerk this evening. So before we get started, can I get a motion and a second to approve having Becky Smith stand in as clerk pro tem for the evening?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Darn it. No, I'm just saying.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I guess I'm stuck.
Becky, can you call the roll, please?
Do we, okay. So, roll call for attendance, Delzell.
Yes.
Yeah, check them
Trustee,
off that they're here.
Trustee Mendoza is not here.
Is absent.
Trustee McLaughlin? Here. Trustee Murphy?
Trustee Murphy, just for the record, too, Trustee Murphy said he was working out of town and asked to participate in tonight's meeting.
Trustee Nava-Esparza? Here. Trustee Peretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our attorney is here, too, Joe Kankar. Okay, so we have a handful of items on the agenda this evening, so we'll get going right away. The first on your agenda this evening, folks, was a presentation by Adam Dodson of the Standrick Law Firm representing the property owners at 4855 West 115th Street regarding requesting a renewal of their 6B tax assessment. Adam, can you come up to the mic, please? And if you can make your case what you're asking for.
Sure. Good evening. By the way, I also have the owners here also.
Sure.
From Taylor's Candy, Greg Taylor. What we're here for this evening is obviously we've been a long-standing company in this community, and what we're looking for is that there's two buildings here. One was a renewal that we had a couple years ago with the Village of Alsip, and then we have this one coming up here right now for the other building. So in order for Taylor's Candy to continue to operate in this community, we're requesting a renewal for the one property. I think, is that the west one? We're the west. Yes, the one on the west. We'd be happy to answer any questions with you in regards to what we're looking for. And before you this evening, obviously, is the chart that the village has provided in regards to what is it, 3 installments, Mayor, we're looking at? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Greg, if you can tell the board, any plans for expansion, development, employees, you can tell us.
Me being here today actually marks our 20th year in Alsip. It's been a good one for us. We love being here. We donate a lot of product to the organizations, candy, gift baskets, do a lot of things, donate to the food banks and stuff like that. We like being a part of the community. We've grown since we've been here. The 6B has helped us grow. It's going to help us continue to grow, which led to us buying the other building. The tax incentives, they help us be competitive. When we moved here, our business was probably 90% local. Since then, we've expanded, and probably 65% of our business is now out of the state. We ship around the country, and these incentives help us stay competitive around the country with other towns, villages, counties that have, cheaper taxes. We were born and raised in the south side of Chicago. We planted roots here in Alsip a long time ago. We do plan to expand. We've, in the past probably 18 months, we brought over $500,000 of equipment into our facility. All in Illinois, Elk Grove Village. 2 companies in Elk Grove Village where we're buying equipment from. So we're also supporting Illinois with where we're at by investing in equipment, putting in our building and in Illinois companies, adding employees, and doing the best we can with the properties that we have to be competitive and keep growing. And we have grown. We've grown every year since we've been here. We wouldn't have the second building if we didn't need it. and grow. So Alsip's been a great place for us. We appreciate the support in the 6B, and we do need it to stay here and stay competitive. Small businesses are a vital part of the community anywhere. We're family. You know, we're not Amazon or Coke. We're family. We're working owners. You know, we're there every Monday through Friday working, just like the employees that work for us. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. But I do ask that you do renew.
Greg, how many buildings do you have now? 2?
We have 2.
How big are they?
About 20, I think they're around 26,000 square foot each.
Okay.
Yeah. There's been times over the past couple of years where we're at capacity and kind of considered having to add or expand, look for another piece of property in town or somewhere. A certain part of our business around the country is growing a lot. We manufacture peanut brittle in our facility and popcorn in our peanut brittle business. Over the past 2 years, this winter it's going to be all over the country and in stores like Home Goods and TJ Maxx. We're looking to expand it more, trying to sell to more national retailers, expanding our private label business. So there's a lot of growth opportunity for us.
Okay. Trustees, do anybody have any questions for Greg Taylor?
How many employees do you currently employ?
I think we're about 36, 37 right now.
Full-time or with benefits? Or
There's benefits, and there's, I don't know, about 80% full-time, would you say? Maybe 80% full-time.
Thank
We
you.
do pull from the schools here, too. We help, we bring in district, we bring in kids from the schools, challenge kids to help them, teach them how to work, and provide a couple hours worth of work for them with an assistant. 218. We actually have probably 4 employees we hired full-time and part-time over the years from the school districts too. That started out in those programs and now have full-time or part-time jobs. One of them just bought a brand new car. You know, so you know we do our best to be involved and do things like that around here.
Thank you.
Very good. Adam and Greg, so you're okay with the service fee agreement and so forth that we submitted as well, too?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
My understanding is there's not really much of a choice.
No, we treat all the businesses the same when it comes to renewals, yes.
Okay. So then I will be okay with it.
Okay.
I'll have to be okay with it.
Thank you.
It is challenging.
Right.
It definitely, especially having the second piece of property, small business like mine, that where our customers, we have most of our, as I mentioned, a lot of our business is shifted nationally. A big chunk of it, which is a big base of our business, and we don't have long-term contracts with these customers. We have some that will not ready to PO based on a 5-cent unit cost difference. So it's like a month-to-month. Are we going to get an order or not? We have others that review it annually. Some grocery chains in different parts of the Midwest that we pack their private label candy for.
Okay.
They review it annually, and if all of a sudden our costs go up too high, what are they going to do? They're going to go to our competitor in Iowa, our competitor in Pennsylvania, our competitor up in New York, Jersey, or Massachusetts, or down in Florida or Texas, and put out a bid for it. We had just to give you an example, just so you can grasp it from somebody more on this side of the table that actually is dealing with it around the country and controlling cost as a small business. We packed, we were fortunate enough to land it wasn't a contract, it was just a yearly program we did for a company that sells into Costco. It was a large contract, a lot of money. It was about $750,000 worth of product that went into Costco every fourth quarter. Well, this year it's gone.
Wow.
You know, so there's things like that, you know, we had a good 2 years, past couple years. This year it's not going to be the same. We have to find other ways to make it up. And when things like this come up, just being frank, it brings a challenge to small businesses.
Oh, sure.
You know, I don't know that many small businesses in the town. I know my neighbor. He owns a few buildings. Met a few other people. I mean, they're all concerned, obviously, because what's going to happen? We're going to have to raise costs, find ways to be more efficient, try and find more business to make up that difference. You know, Just to be frank. That's
Understood.
just-
I just wanted to,
From our perspective, that's what it looks like.
okay.
Mayor, I would be remiss, we have other plans too, and the impact is that what I'll be able to do now, knowing that this community is talking about renewals and service fee, I can give a 5-year lead for some of my clients now. Here, what happened here is that we went through a renewal a couple of years ago, and that impact fee wasn't on there, and now the second building has it. So now I'll be able to, like I said, let our clients know, let them from a 5-year standpoint, hey, look at this down the road is what Alsip will be looking at possibly for renewal. Here it was only a year or two for them to make this decision.
Okay.
Again, now next year, there's a first installment already. We've got a budget. So, again, it's growing pains, going both ways on something.
Understood. Trustee Murphy, I know you're remote. Any questions?
Mayor, can you tell me of the two buildings, what the square footage is for the two buildings?
Of 52,000 square feet overall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, gentlemen. You know, we actually operate with a consent agenda, so we've got all this. We'll take a vote on this at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
You don't have to stay if you don't like, but I'll certainly give you a call tomorrow. I'll let you know
I
everything shook out.
appreciate it.
Okay.
So I appreciate everybody's time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Next on the agenda was, as I just mentioned, was the approval of the 6B renewal service fee schedule for that same property. And then number 3 was a request for consensus to have our village attorney draft an ordinance for the same renewal of the 6B assessment for the property of 4855 West 115th Street. So thanks for coming in, folks. Next was number 4, was an approval of an ordinance granting special use permit to allow the use of an operation of a beer garden for a portion of the property located at 11525 South Pulaski in Alsip. I know we've had this come up a couple of times. Any questions on this at this time? No? All right. Next, we'll go to number 5, was an approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Alcoholic Beverages and Liquor Control, Article 1, in general, Section 1-4, Definitions, and Article 2, Administration and Enforcement, Section 4-68, License Classification and Fees of Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip. What all this means, folks, because we do video all, these are YouTubed, all of our meetings, is if you have a full-service restaurant that you have a Class A license, right, Beck? They were asking for for permission to be able to sell just bottled wine from that for retail purposes from that same location. That's all this is talking about. Next, number 6 was a request to approve the purchase of a new digital sign for the Village Hall, as the existing sign no longer works. The FY24 appropriation budget included $90,000 for this project and has been carried over to FY25 appropriation budget. We haven't approved that yet, but it's being carried over. The digital sign identified is qualified cooperative purchase through Sourcewell, who the Village of Alsip is a member of. Sourcewell is a purchasing procurement conducted by or on behalf of one or more public procurement units and can be considered a sole-sourced item. My assistant Becky Smith's been running point on this, but we do have some folks here from both. Beck, who do we have?
We have Sign Outlet who's here and Dectronics.
Okay.
So
Gentlemen,
David and Kevin.
if you want to step up, please, maybe you can tell the board what we're talking about doing here.
Thank you for having us. I'm Kevin. I'm with Daktronics.
Dave Martinelli with Sign Out Loud.
Okay. So, as I said, board, the village sign isn't working anymore. Either one of you guys, did you guys evaluate that sign that we have out in front? You can tell them what the health condition of that sign is.
Yep. So that sign's over, I want to say, 14 years old, and it's an old model that Daktronics does not produce anymore on our manufacturing lines. Parts are unavailable for that as well. So that was the reason for the inquiry for a new digital display.
Okay.
In terms of kind of the structural integrity, the brickwork, the masonry, that is also at end of life. There's cracking, there's been water intrusion, freeze thaw. The upper element, which is illuminated, is also failing. The lights in that are, I think, 12 or 13 years old. So, the sign has served its purpose and done well, but it is not at a point where repair is really possible or is recommended.
So, while I'm the board, I'm not, and actually, and I stand corrected too, originally, a few weeks back, I had written purchase of, and I understand. Oh, okay. I understand we're not purchasing anything right now this evening, but we did need to get this conversation moving. And so briefly, I just wanted to explain in the packets that you had, what Becky Smith just circled was, we are identifying, and certainly the board is free to discuss any ideas, but we are identifying with option 4 that's in your packet. And basically, this is an all-metal sign, Dave, right?
Yes, so the exterior construction of the sign is aluminum of various gauges and thicknesses, painted to the colors specified in there. There are a few, right, there's the cabinet that the Daktronics Messaging Center sits in. And then as we move up the sign, there are illuminated elements that kind of create a nice, I think, elegant side lit. It's called a halo lighting, but it's basically creates an outline around the village of Alsip for nighttime illumination.
Okay. So if you can help articulate why we were bringing in 2 sources here, if you can explain to the board why we were doing that then too. In other words, Kevin, you were saying the village is a member of Sourcewell. Daktronics is a Sourcewell product that you can procure through that.
Right.
So it's already been vetted by like government agencies that
Correct. Yep. So it's essentially a pre-bid product that Daktronics and the village are both contracted with through this purchasing co-op. Like you said, it's already vetted. It's pre-bid essentially. So it's an agreed upon price between us as the manufacturer, you as a customer of the co-op, and then the co-op itself.
And can you explain, maybe David or Kevin, what's the benefit of, like, David's company's sign outlet is located here in Alsip. You've installed, obviously, a lot of Daktronic products. Did you put this one in, just for heck of it, Dave? Do you know?
I don't know if we did.
Okay.
14 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
But I think I can speak to a couple of things. So first, yes, I mean we do quite a few messaging centers every year. Daktronics is our vendor of choice. If you drive by our shop, which is on CalSag, the EMCs there are Daktronic panels. The reason for that is, quite frankly, they're the best. It is measured by reliability, performance, and support. So that's where we start. Now, why do the 2 programs exist from a sign company perspective? Quite frankly, because you as the village get a better price by going through Sourcewell for the messaging center panel versus what we could provide it to you in the sign. So what we do is we receive the panel through the program Sourcewell, and then we build it into the sign. And so we make signs. We can also source panels, but Daktronics doesn't make signs. They don't have design and manufacturing capabilities in those areas.
Okay. I know we do have procurement agreements, even through our ordinances and so forth then too, so the exceptions to required bidding, when we get down, and this isn't from our ordinances yet too, when it comes to government procurement, all procurement from the federal government or any agency thereof is covered under these exceptions, more or less. And then joint procurement of supplies and services by the village with 1 or more governmental units, which is a little bit different, which shall be governed by the competitive bidding requirements in a government joint purchasing act. And then certainly at the end of this, there is a provision too that the village board may waive the bid requirements established herein on a case-by-case basis as determined by the board. So, trustees, that's where I was going back to. We were trying to do this in the most affordable scenario, certainly, the original number, like I talked about through appropriation, is higher than what you see, and I don't want to say this out loud, the numbers, but it's in your packet what the cost of the construction and product costs and stuff then, too. Was there any questions on this?
So the sign we're talking about is the one in front of Village Hall.
Yes.
And what comes to mind is what will be displayed there. What information, since I know other municipalities sometimes just have a decorative sign. I don't know much about signs, the right wording, but just naming the location, right? Village of Oak Lawn, for example, or City of Blue Island. And there's not necessarily an electronic component to it, since a lot of the shift now is to digitizing information either via CRMs that people can sign up for, like newsletters and so forth like that. Social media, they have content that's being delivered there, since people tend to gravitate towards social media, or even the village website as well. So I do see how much was allocated or appropriated for in the budget, but is an electronic sign the direction we should go, or should we shift our focus in upgrading current systems that we have that are in need of some updating, such as our village website and so forth? So I'm not opposed to updating the sign, maybe something to beautify the village, but I'm not sure if an electronic component is something that we need at this time.
One thing I guess I always view it from, too, is there's probably, I can't think of a village hall that probably doesn't have a message board to articulate any kind of messages, much like we do at the fire stations, Chief. You've got...
Station 1's got one.
Station 1, I thought Station
1's electronic.
Right, Station 2 is not. Gotcha, okay. I know the schools do it all the time. Obviously, there might be more things with parent-teacher nights and stuff like that, but certainly any kind of message we need to deliver, that's the place to do it, is in front of our village hall. We do have access to some of those big signboards that you see on Pulaski and Cicero, but that's only one message in rotation. So you might have to wait, let's just say hypothetically, you could wait 15 messages before you saw our one come across. So the odds of seeing that are almost nil.
And what's the odds of seeing it at 35 miles an hour?
Exactly.
Just when you're driving past the village hall, obviously,
Right.
Well, and I think that's part of the point is that, I mean, there are no stop signs or stop lights in front of the village hall. So you're going by at 35 miles an hour and hopefully not gawking off to the side while you're driving. So it's how many people will the message reach?
Right.
So we had a sign before, and all the information, like, I talk to a lot of seniors, they don't use their phones or their social medias and stuff like that. They come up here to do their water bills or to get things, and they have mentioned, why isn't there a sign? I would get the information. When's our meetings? When's the flower sales? When we had COVID or anything like that. It's just a good way of information out there, plus the amount of people that use 123rd Street to drop off their kids. It's a good way to give Village Hall information.
Well, I'm looking at the room now, and I don't know how many members we have in the audience. I mean, if in regards to village meeting, the information's on the website as well, and also the newsletter. So I just think that we should shift our focus elsewhere versus, to Trustee Duzell's point, and Trustee McLaughlin, is just, there's no stop sign there. They're just driving past, and I go past the village hall when I have to come to the meeting, or if I have to catch 294.
Sure, go ahead, Dave.
I think, one of the questions was about the sign and the velocity of vehicles moving by. That's a science, and the sign, the Daktronics panel, the amount of square inches you have, the resolution of it, the sign of the size of the village of Alsip are all designed for traffic moving at above 45 miles an hour to provide visibility at a suitable distance. That distance is generally considered 150 or more feet at that distance. Similarly to the one we have at Sign Outlet, similarly to the ones we do for schools and hospital networks. So I think I would dispel that people traveling by won't be able to read the messages, won't be able to see what's there. I think the second component, how a village or a municipality or an entity allocates its spend across different channels. I don't know that I would look at a website and assign as competing entities. At Sign Outlet, we don't look at those as different. Those have different reaches and different purposes. I think I can speak for on content. I think Mayor Ryan brings up a really good point, which is when you rent space on a rotating carousel sign, you're getting maybe 10 seconds at best every about 100 to 120 seconds. And most of our schools and our hospital networks, they like the ability to present, right, a full stream of information, whether those are new services provided, community events. A lot of our schools do welcome and uptake that way. So I do think, there are a lot of different opportunities to use it to promote community events and other important messages for citizens.
And Kevin, can you talk about the new sign of what, I mean, he was going to bring the truck, but it's not here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have that available to use. But the new digital sign is going to be about 4 by 8 or 4 by 7.5 feet wide. The resolution is an 8 millimeter pixel pitch, and that just means that one LED to the next is 8 millimeters apart. So it's a really good, clear resolution that, like Dave mentioned, you'll be able to see from a good distance away and also up close. So foot traffic, anyone riding a bicycle, skateboards, walking next to the sign, you're going to be able to be close to it and read those messages as clearly as you would a TV similar to this. And we did bring that truck out, I don't know, it was maybe 6 months ago or maybe last year at some point. So we did run it by Becky and Mayor Ryan there. So I don't think that there's going to be any issue with the readability and the visibility of that digital portion. And then, again, with the backlit lighting of the Village of Alsip on top, that'll be legible as well from a good distance away.
You spoke to the aspect that the present sign is 14 years old. It's been broke for over a year.
2.
So 2 years, okay. So 12-year service life. I know that this has got a 5-year warranty. What is the life expectancy of this one that we're buying now?
Yep. So through our manufacturing and testing processes, I've seen our newer signs that are lasting well over 10 years and still kicking, very similar to the life of this one. So I would say realistically, life expectancy is probably between that 12 and 15 year mark. However, we do have a proposal out. I don't know if it ever got sent this afternoon for a 10-year parts warranty as well. So we will service it for up to 10 years, and that could be covered just at an extra cost. So.
Okay. So it's a 10-year life expectancy. The part that bothers me is that we've got this, and I don't know where this cycle is for this product that you're proposing now, but from the very same company no longer supports the product that we bought in any way, shape, or form. So it's a detriment, I consider. A lot of municipalities go to the extreme with regards to distracted driving. We all know that it's a huge social issue that impacts the life of a lot of people. We're going to have a sign here advertising whatever it is that we're going to put on there. 200 foot away, a school. School zone, school crossing. And we're going to send a message out that you're expecting somebody's going to sit there and read for 151 feet. And as they're reading that for 151 feet, they don't see that child crossing the street. What then?
Hopefully, with being in a school zone, cars and vehicles are not going as fast as maybe the speed limit allows, so they are slowing down, being more cautious, and keeping their eyes on the road. To that, I mean, I can't speak in situations like that, but hopefully, with the knowledge that the school is nearby, people are not driving as fast. They are more cautious, keeping their eyes where they need to be.
Right.
Not to dispel the school part, but I think just being in the sign industry and knowing the different, key players in EMCs, Daktronics is at the top of the pile in terms of longevity. So I can understand and appreciate, we all want when we make an investment to be able to take it as long as it can go. And certainly our Daktronics sign is over 10 years old. It's close to 14. But what I will say is for a messaging center provider, there does not exist one with a better quality or a better longevity. And that notwithstanding doesn't change, right, 10 years or whatever, but I just think there isn't a better alternative, and I think that warrants.
Yeah, I've seen both your products, and, you know, I believe that both your companies are great companies. I'm concerned in the cycle. So this product that we're buying today, is it a brand-new released product, or is this in its 7th year of being on the road?
No, that's a good question. We have been using this GT6X for the last, I want to say, 3 or 4 years. But this product line is not going to go away anytime soon. And the good thing about Daktronics is we will service it for at minimum 10 years after it does come off of our manufacturing lines. And like I said, I don't see the product line going away anytime soon. So at a minimum, it's 10 years that we'll support it. At a maximum, who knows, could be 20. So.
And then one other point, this is obviously a decision, and it does potentially create work for someone, but I do know some of our school customers, they suspend their slideshow. It's basically a rotating carousel during certain times, perhaps such as like drop off and pick up. So,
Right. And I'm saying this, and the school district itself has a display sign.
I think it's a great point you make about safety. 15 years ago, these were a lot more difficult to program administratively than they are now. Now they work like a digital slideshow, and they're schedulable and things. So again, right, it is a little bit more work to do that, but if you did want to suspend it from scrolling at a period of time, that could be done.
Right.
Because again, I have a soon-to-be 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, right? I hear you.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. And again, we were backed up a couple of weeks, so we called for a meeting tonight to try and stay somewhat on schedule and stuff yet, too. But I'll be bringing this back up to the board in the next week or two. And myself, Rebecca, will reach out to you and give you an update. Okay.
Yes, appreciate
Thanks
it.
much, Kevin. Thank you, David. That's all I have for my report this evening. We'll go to the clerk's report. Tonight it's Becky Smith. Yes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you could, I'd like to back up to number 4.
Okay.
I couldn't get off mute fast enough. Earlier in the week, I had requested through the attorney that would it be possible for the restaurant in question regarding the beer garden if we suspended the 6-foot fence rule and approve this on a trial basis. I know there were a lot of concerns with the other trustees regarding safety, regarding unruly activity that would go on in the parking lot area. There were some concerns by neighbors, and I was wondering if there was ever a resolve with that, if the attorney was in favor of that, if it could be, if that could be done, where we would suspend the building of the 6-foot fence and approve this on a trial basis, essentially just to see how it would go if there was any negative impacts.
So what you're asking is an approval with contingencies, for, let's say for 6 months, is it on a trial basis?
6 months or the end of the period of which it would be open. I mean, you're not going to have a beer garden open, obviously, in November.
No.
So,
Right.
but rather than to subject the restaurant, where it's hard enough to make money in that business anyway, to erect a 6-foot fence, and then if it went south or something happened to where we would say, okay, you know, it's not being managed properly, it's not secured, there's no security, and then forego having the restaurant, you know, stick out that kind of money for a fence that they no longer need.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Joe, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, it doesn't, I think that's fine if that's what you guys want to put in there, and we can amend it on its face and just put a conditional special use permit authorizing the use is hereby granted through such and such a date.
Mayor, what was the purpose of us passing the original ordinance that required it?
The There is none.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Actually,
part of our municipal
Beer garden
code
ordinances requires it.
specifying all kinds of stuff in relation to the fence. The fence shall contain required fire exits or exits. Each gate shall swing to egress, shall be equipped with proper hardware.
6 foot
it goes on and on.
required
Yeah.
fire exits requires a fence ordinance standard. The purpose of that ordinance had a valid reason when we passed it. Why would we change it now?
Well, obviously, it's the trustee making the request.
It's not changed in the ordinance, clearly. So you would have to,
Yes.
We would be amending that on its face, as Joe said. If we want to allow, in this case, a contingency like Trustee Murphy was just recommending.
Was it not a good idea when we passed that ordinance?
I wasn't here for it, but it seems to be a good ordinance, yes. Trustee, I would say, in a case like this, I understand your concerns, and they're valid. Obviously, you're trying to find some middle ground here as far as the conversations that took place. At the end of the day, I don't know, but let's just put it this way. Obviously, it's my job as a liquor commissioner to oversee these matters if they're for lack of compliancy. So that's where we offer 14th Amendment's due process. We bring the party in, talk to them about it, and so forth. Yeah, too. This isn't just it's just not a night and day situation. I understand what you're saying, and I like your thinking. To try and find some middle ground, especially when it seems like we have a possible split decision here. So let's put it this way: it would have to be. To make a motion like that, you would, when it comes time to vote on this, I would suggest that, you should consider that as part of your motion, if that's what you want to do. All right, okay. All right. Thank you. We'll go to the clerk's report.
Presentation approval of the June 3rd, 2024 board meeting minutes. Number 2, presentation approval of the May 2024 FOIA reports. And number 3, presentation approval of the IDOT motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $66,620.71. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We have an attorney's report. Joe Kankar.
I have no report, Your Honor, although I will say that the second installment tax bills will be on time. They will be due August 1, so you'll get some tax revenues
Coming in. Thank you. Next, we have the engineer's report. Jeff Hagan.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a request to go out for bid for the following projects: the 2024 sanitary sewer cleaning and televising project, and then also the 2024 manhole rehabilitation project. And then also the 116th, 117th Street water main project. I know the contractor's been delayed a couple times on the start, but they're telling us now that next week they will be out there potholing and locating existing utilities. They intend to start installing water main the week of July 8th, then the following week. And then the Safe Routes to School, the Hazel Green and Prairie Junior High sidewalk projects. We had a pre-construction meeting last week, and the contractor Davis Concrete has indicated that they also intend to start work the week of July 8th for that sidewalk project as well.
I got the IDOT approval today for what you just said with Davis Concrete. How many squares are we doing? Around 400, like we always do, Mike, or what?
This is for the Safe Routes to School, so
that's the Safe Routes to School. I thought that was our annual sidewalk. That's what it said was the sidewalk process and stuff. When are we going to do that?
Budget for that yet?
yeah, so the annual program, of course, we're appropriating within the budget, so we hope to do it sometime late summer or early fall.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's usually done around September, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have the public forum. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? Sir, did you? Come on up. Sure.
Thank you for letting me address the board. I think what I wanted to express was a concern regarding noise and quality of life issues that are affecting our subdivision, and I think the rest of the town also. With 4th of July coming up, the fireworks, it's gotten so crazy and out of control. The issue of gunfire at New Year's Eve, that this past year was so out of control that we left the house. That's affecting my quality of life, other neighbors in my subdivision. It's affecting their quality of life. It's dangerous, with the setting gunfire off, guns off at midnight and whatnot. And, I just wanted to know what could be done about it. Another issue also, concerning the noise issue is with summer here now, we're also having, parties. And everybody has parties, and, I love parties myself. But the problem now is that the music and the noise is going past the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And, I just was wondering if there's anything that, that's going to be done about, addressing those concerns.
First off, we've got ordinances for all, in other words, we have rules for all that. And I believe with the noise, Deputy Chief Shelton, isn't it 11 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Okay, 10 o'clock.
And all you have to do is call the police department.
And then, Chief, is there anything anything that you want to speak to as far as fireworks, 4th of July and stuff like that?
If people are caught blowing off fireworks, we do ticket them. They show up in ordinance court. We handle it through our ordinance court. As far as parties, they usually get one warning. If they don't turn it down, we then ticket. But we also have to have people that are willing to come to court to testify against them as well.
If I may, there's a couple of examples regarding each of those issues.
Well, I understand the examples. The thing is, did you call?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I want to give you the full kind of a little bit of a background and explain what happened. So this past year, we left the house, went to my daughter's house because we didn't want to deal with the gunfire and have to be worrying about bullet coming through the window or through the siding. So we went to my daughter's house, stayed over there, till like past 1 o'clock, 1:30, and then we came home. I have a senior dog also, and just the noise of the fireworks or gunfire is very distressing a lot. So anyway, when we came home, the gunfire was pretty much over, but there was a party going on. I'm on Lamont, and the party was on Lawler. Actually, I found out because what happened is, it was so loud that the noise from that was bouncing off the neighbors across the street on their garage. That's how loud it was. And I thought it was in our cul-de-sac on 113. So I called up and I said, it's already 2 o'clock. So I was waiting outside and the police car did come by. And they circled in the cul-de-sac. I guess they didn't hear or see any party out there, so they took off before I had a chance to talk to them. And it still went on for another hour. I called again. And but what I did is, since they didn't find out where the noise was coming from, I jumped in my car and we drove over to Lawler and went down the block, and I saw where the party was at and where the noise was coming from. That's 1 block over. Imagine, 1 block over, and we're, the music sounded like it was next door to me. That's how loud it was. So I called again, and then after that, finally about 4 o'clock is when they turned it down. After I called, that was probably like the 3rd time or so. And they did finally turn it down, but at 4 o'clock. Now, I have a lot of elderly neighbors. I'm a senior citizen, and like I said, our quality of life is being affected by this. And another thing about it is that my next door neighbor to the west, when they first moved in, I've been in Alsip at that residence there over 30 years. The neighbor next to us, when he first started, he got little kids. They had some, the little stuff, flares and the little stuff, right, for the kids, and that was fine. Every year since he's been there now, it's gotten bigger and bigger. He's up to like over a 2-hour production with heavy duty stuff. Now, I have a right to, peace and quiet in my house. And if they want to, see fireworks and that, they should go to a show somewhere. There's plenty of shows. I go to the one in Evergreen Park because they put on a big show over there. My daughter lives there, and I go over there and I go there. So why is our quality of life being affected and it's not being addressed?
Sir? Okay, well, please, man to talk to him. to an officer, they will address any of your inquiries. We do write ordinance for all those things.
Well, that's basically what I wanted to say.
Understood. And certainly, like you said, you got some valid points there, and a lot of us, I agree with you, too. I've got a senior dog of my own, and, man, what a mess last year, seriously. Like the end of the night, and he just, they lose their bowels, everything else. They just, it's unfortunate, but, what you call it, and like you say, you forget the animals are certainly important to us and stuff. They're part of our lives. But like you said, even like the senior residents and so forth, too. We get those calls all the time here. Becky, she fields a lot of these as well, too, as far as, just like you said, people want to keep their quality of life. They don't need somebody blowing off M100s or whatever the case may be. But certainly our police do a great job here and so forth. So if you would, please stay on top of that, and let them know who's doing what if that's what you see. But as Chief Schultz said, we need you to, unfortunately, whoever the complainant is has to make themselves available for a court date and stuff then too. We actually had a problem like that with a nearby church last season, and they were conducting outdoor services, and it got a little bit loud, and we had to come, they had to understand too. Like everyone, I didn't think it was that loud. Well, yeah, it was, but we had a complainant that, and the building department handled that as well then too, to work with. But no, we've got nuisance ordinances that protect you from things like that. So if you hear that, please let them know.
And I appreciate that job you guys do, officer. I deal with the officer Stevens, because he's usually in our subdivision. I talk to him every chance I get. I've expressed my concerns to him.
We talk about it all the time. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else? None? Thank you. We'll move on with the rest of our reports. Go to Standing Committee at Finance and IT. Trustee McGlohorn.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated June 14th, 2024, totaling $503,168.12. Next, I have a request for approval of a list of accounts payable dated June 17th, 2024. From the recap, General Fund, $320,638.88. Road and Bridge, $133,314.80. MFT, $7,351.68. Pulaski TIF, $2,906 even. Liability and workers' comp insurance, $64,738.19. Health insurance, $365,692.39. Water and sewer, $906,241.76. Sanitary sewers, $2,102.38. Heritage complexes, $187,033.04. IPRF grant expense, $947.50. Retiree health insurance, $1,353.68, for a grand total all funds of $1,992,320.30. And that is all I have under finance this evening, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Number one, I have the Fire and Police Commission have reported they need to fill offer another eligibility test for new firefighter paramedics. And the most recent test did not produce enough hires to fill current vacancies. June 19th, 2024 will be the application launch. July 17th, 2024, the deadline for application submittal. August 3rd, 2024, written test at the Village Hall. Next would be COPS testing services. Advised calendar dates for testing is rapidly filling up, after which the Commission will conduct oral interviews. The Commission has 3 candidates in the firefighting testing process at this time. Next, I have a request for approval of amending Section 9, Article 2, Section 9 through 34, Key Box Ordinance. Proposal to add letter D, to include the installation of a Knox box shutdown for all high voltage vehicle charging systems or stations. Next is the request to fill the vacancy of retiring firefighter Amy Huffney. The next candidate on the list will be Sean McNamee. Request the swearing in of Sean at the July 1st board meeting. Next, I have the presentation and approval of the Fire Prevention Bureau report for May 2024. And finally, the presentation and approval of a monthly report for May 2024 based on our National Fire Incident Reporting System data. And that's all I have, sir.
Chief Stasinski, going back to the Knox box ordinance, and just for the record, are we just identifying with commercial applications on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We know they're going to be coming. We want to get ahead of it. Yeah, just trying to get ahead of it out there right now. We already currently use Knox for everything else that we have in town, so we want to stay with the same key situation we have.
Okay. And obviously, Chief, this is so you folks, I understand, and there was a whole, I didn't take the training for it, but you're going to be able to kill the power. And the best way is to have an Knox box to get at the kill switch. Are you, the building department, Roger, are you folks identifying a local area where to put that kill switch?
That is correct. We are identifying it within 5 feet. So it is required by code. So I am in agreement with what the chief is proposing.
Okay. Sounds good.
It depending on how many charging stations would be in place. And it's all high voltage. So usually most of your commercial ones are all 480 volts. And where they pipe them into, it's like looking for a breaker. This way we'd have immediate access, and it's just a relay to shut down the system.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
You know the cost of these?
No, I don't.
$1,200.
Okay.
So right now, they say that the jurisdictions, the responsive fire officials, has been the adoption of the requirement for the National Electrical Code and the disconnecting means, which requires a high voltage service disconnect to be located outside within sight of. The requirement is not currently a part of the fire code, but both the International Code Council and the National Fire Protection Association are discussing the development of codes for the fire protection, which would require an external shunt trip controls on structures where the exposure of high voltage is at risk. I get it, I appreciate it, but it doesn't seem that we're getting ahead of the step if these two major entities have yet to come up with a code?
We are way ahead with the lithium battery too.
Well,
and that's the problem is the codes are usually updated after problems happen. We're trying to get ahead of it.
Right,
because we know the state's going to be pushing a lot more of these electric vehicles, and we're going to see a lot more of these charging stations. You go to Christ Hospital, you go to any of the parking garages, they're all over the place. And if there's an issue, there's no place to shut them down. You have to figure out where to shut them down. I want to get ahead of that before we do run into a problem.
So this is going to be retroactive to those that are presently installed?
We don't have any high voltage charging stations in our town that I know of now.
Okay.
Okay. All right, very good. Next, we'll go to the Police and Traffic Safety Report. Trustee Dalzell.
Nothing for this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
I have the presentation and approval of the Public Works May 2024 monthly activity report. And I have the Alsip boat launch collected $1,335.21 for the month of May. Scanned to pay amount collected, not available at this time. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. The Sewer Water Report, Trustee Nava-Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation and approval of the Water Department May 2024 monthly activity report. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Building and Health, Trustee Prada.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a presentation and approval of the Building Department May 2024 monthly activity report. In that report, there were 100 permits issued. The amount collected, including inspector fees, was $25,343, The estimated cost of construction is valued at $1,511,159, and that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Human Resource and Insurance, Trustee Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the approval of the salary range for the position of water commissioner between $90,000 and $110,000 based on qualifications. That's all I have, sir.
So I want to speak to this real quick. I spoke with HR last week. We've only gotten 6 applications for this position thus far, and both HR and our current water commissioner, Dan Triben, have been vetting these applications, and they haven't found a quality candidate here. Thus, they're still identifying with the idea that our department heads must live within 25 miles of the village corporate limits. So I feel it necessary at this time to at least put a salary range out there where we're trying to see what we can get, but I think it's necessary to put a salary range, which is why HR recommended 90 to 110.
We didn't advertise that originally?
We did not, no. The board agreed to a job description, but we left the salary open to see what we're going to get, and that's not helping us, so we got to throw a number in there. Certainly based on qualifications. Next, we have the special committee reports. We'll start with economic development. Trustee Nava-Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. My update's just related to the Alsip bike and pedestrian plan. 2 tours were completed, walking tour along Pulaski and the bike tour. I did not bike, but I know others did, and we had cicadas present, and so our colleagues from CMAP and the consulting team also that came out for the walking tour and the bike tour were just kind of in awe of the number of cicadas, but thankfully there aren't any more in sight. So our next tour was scheduled for this week, but it was recommended to be rescheduled for a later date when there's more traffic in the area that we're looking at, which is near Marist High School. And plus there's inclement weather that's expected on Tuesday. I'm not sure if there's any other updates.
No, I was there for both events too, and the walking event went real well on the east side of Pulaski. We did about a mile walk, and certainly I appreciate Mike Frater and Jeff Agin joining us on these as well too. And we did a biking trip, not this weekend, the weekend before, and kind of went back. We're trying to help establish a bikeable areas, bike paths, the type of areas that we started at Apollo Park, went back in through Roger by your neighborhood, by Wilkins Park back there and so forth, and then went up to the trailhead. But our engineers are doing a wonderful job with this, and I'm still applaud the one fellow, Jared, one of the engineers. He's like a super biker. This kid, I shouldn't call him a kid, but he's a young adult. He rode his bike. He lives in Lincoln Park, and he biked from Lincoln Park out to Apollo Park to meet us.
He told me it was 25 miles.
He didn't even have like special shorts on or anything, I mean, he's the man. So no, it was these guys are really working hard, and we had about 8 people walk with us, 10 people when we did the walking, and we did 10 or 12 on the bike tour, so it was good.
And the survey's still live, so I believe it's until July 4th is where residents are, even if you don't live within Alsip, but you utilize some of our public infrastructure just to get through town or to town, you're more than welcome to participate as well. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next is Village Properties, Trustee McLaurin.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, I have the request for approval of a 1-year extension for the property management by HRE property management at the Heritage Apartment complexes that are owned by the Village of Alsip. Per the current management agreement, the village can extend the agreement for 1 year for each of the next 3 years, and this extension will include an amendment as noted in the agreement. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next, we had ordinance and legislation. Trustee Parada.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing on the agenda, but I do want to point out that there is a Village of Alsip Plan Commission hearing scheduled for Wednesday, July 10th at 7:30 p.m. This will be in regards to case number 2024-07-SD-200 for a subdivision subdividing a lot that is currently 100 by 203 feet deep into 2 lots that are 50 feet wide by 203 feet deep. And the purpose of this is to build 2 single-family homes For the property located at 11154 South Lawler. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Did anyone have any presentations, petitions, or communications they wanted to share? Did anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Actually, I want to remove one. I want to take letter D off. I wasn't available. We're not voting on anything on that digital sign this evening. I got to bring that back.
All right, Mayor, I would like to remove letter B.
B as in boy?
B as in boy.
Okay.
K as in king, please.
Yes. All right, very good. Anybody else? Can I get a motion then to establish the consent agenda? Pardon me? A? Okay. All right, can I get a motion then to establish the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, sometimes you put them in the box up here, and then you just call the roll down
So,
here. And this would be,
roll call.
this is to establish the consent agenda,
Mhm.
and just go down and then call.
Go down?
Yes,
Okay. So consent to establish the, right?
just write establish on here.
Establish the
Consent
consent agenda, sorry. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Okay. And whereas Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navasparza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
So then,
You need a motion to approve.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
You call the roll again.
And C will be 240601.
I'm sorry, right. We got to put the numbers in. So first off, we're going to talk about these two. So like Joe said, the first one is C.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be 01. This will be 01.
Well, they told me at the office that this was supposed to be 2 and this was supposed to be 3.
Okay. All right. You do it your way. Well, it's going to be the first one approved. That's what Joe said. Yeah.
So 01?
Yes. And then that's the only one for right now. We still have to vote on the others. You can number those as we get back to them.
Okay, so,
So just read this into the record right here.
okay, so just read
Yes.
approval.
Right.
So approval of ordinance amending Chapter 4 Alcoholic Beverages and Liquor Control, Article 1 and General, Section 4-1, Definition, and Article 2, Administration and Enforcement, Section 4-68, License Classification and Fees of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip, will be known as Ordinance 2024-06-01.
Right. And so now we'll take the roll for approval. Yeah.
It was part of the consent agenda.
No, did you guys do a motion and a second to approve already?
We did, but
Yeah.
who made those motions again, folks?
McLaughlin and Dalzell.
Okay.
That was on the original, but who?
And the second one was McLaughlin and Navas Barza.
Right.
So motion to approve.
Right.
As far
It's
as
okay, I made notes.
No, yeah, to approve. This one here. Right. I'm sorry, I'm looking. Got that.
I said motion to approve,
Right.
and that was McLaughlin and Dalzell.
That was to establish.
Oh, to establish,
Right.
okay. And then to approve is trustee McLaughlin and trustee Nevis.
Right, under number 2 there. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So that
Sorry
would
about
be-
that.
I probably should just do it like this. This.
So call the roll again.
Okay, roll call for motion to approve.
Right.
Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez is absent. Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Sparza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Okay, so
Motion.
that covers. So I'm going to go back to the three items that were pulled. We'll start with letter A, approval of a 6B renewal service fee scheduled for the property known as 4855 West 115th Street in the Village of Alsip. Before we take any questions, was there a motion and a second to approve this as it's written?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so this one here, you put a line through it. This is for letter A.
Letter A.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And that was for Roselle and,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Trustee Murphy, you had pulled this. Did you have a question on it?
No, Mayor, I just didn't have a question, but I just thought that we should start maybe taking a second look at these renewals in that we are kind of in a budget crunch, and especially when we're having that grocery tax that we're going to be losing $600 and some odd dollars, $100,000. I think that this is still advised, and I'm not in favor of it.
Well, that, Trustee, that would be on the actual 6B renewal. This is this is approving the 6B service fee schedule. In other words, does the board agree with the schedule of the fees being imposed on the property owner? We still have to draft a renewal ordinance. So if that's your feeling on it, we'll do that at another date, because I don't have that ready tonight.
And Trustee Murphy, if I could, the fees that they pay to us is our projection of what they would pay the village if they were not granted the 6B. So we actually don't lose any tax money.
We're still picking it up, Trustee. Okay.
They just don't pay the other taxing district. Their benefit is from the other taxing districts.
Okay. Thank you. Can you call the roll in for letter A?
Okay. Roll call for letter A. Trustee Dazal?
Yes.
Trustee Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Esparza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next, was letter B. This was the approval of an ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the use and operation of a beer garden, for a portion of the property located at 11525 South Pulaski, Alsip, Illinois. Again, before we take any questions, do I have a motion and a second to approve this as it stands?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second? If there's no second on this, this dies for lack of a second.
Can we do a motion
Motion to deny?
to deny?
You don't have to.
Pardon?
We keep on bringing this up.
Well,
I'd like to,
Put it to bed?
Well, I don't know if I would use, the proper terminology on something like this would be whether or not you want to take a vote on this particular
They can
ordinance.
do anything they want to, Mayor. It's their prerogative.
Right.
I understand what they're saying.
I mean, I said, we've been stringing the property owner along for a while. I think it's proper to give an answer at this point in time.
Then you would be approving you would be seconding the motion in order to get to the actual vote, right?
No, they would be making a motion to deny.
Which doesn't exist here, so I'll ask one more time, does anyone wish to second that motion? No? This dies for lack of a second. Next, letter K is in Kevin. Approval to amend Section 9, Article 2, Section 9-34 Key Box Ordinance. Proposal to add letter D to include the installation of a Knox box shutdown for all high-voltage vehicle charging systems or stations. Again, do we have a motion and a second to approve this as it's written? No? Trustee Dalzell, you had pulled this. Did you have a question on this?
again, Mayor, is just what I was looking at before. It's my opinion, it's premature with this regard. I haven't seen any of the statistics. I appreciate the fire chief's concern, and certainly it's for the safety of his people and for the profession, and of that I have no problem with it whatsoever. I just think that it's premature for us to sit there, make an ordinance about something that a standard hasn't been written to, and then likely we're going to be changing or modifying it as time evolves.
All right. Is there a motion and a second to approve this as it stands? No? Then that dies for a motion. Anyone have any unfinished business? Any new business? We have to adjourn a closed session this evening, so I need to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 1. Is there a motion and a second to do such?
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Okay. Do I have a motion
Yeah, you have to call the roll call for that.
for closed session?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call for motion to go into executive session. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGawhorn?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navasparza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do a closed session with you. Can I do that remotely with him?
I mean, if you can keep people out of it, I don't know.
You know, Trustee Murphy, how about, I'll follow up with you tomorrow on closed session. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Okay. Because we're going to go up to the other room maybe real quick, okay? Or maybe we'll stay here. This is fine. Yeah, all right.
You just got to make sure that nobody can log into that.
Right.
Okay.
No, I'm going to record it. Now, I'll share notes with you tomorrow, Trustee Murphy.
Understood.
Okay. You need to call the roll. Oh, no, go ahead. Did you get as far as Murph? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
did 'em all. So
All right.
Didn't call a time to adjourn the meeting.
time to
there.
adjourn?
It's 8:43 p.m. And thank you for joining us tonight, folks. Have a great evening.